What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're going to jump in with some more Destiny 2 Black Armory and Season 5 news. So in this one we are going to look at some new Armory weapons with some of the quests to actually forge them. We've got word on Season 5 Faction Rally and Trials. We'll talk about that one in just a moment. It looks like there are going to be some new types of collectibles in the upcoming DLC. We have new Fallen gear mods. We're going to take a look at a bunch of new armor sets including Iron Banner, the Dawning, and the Raid armor, along with a few raid weapons. I will give a full spoiler alert for that, and we'll also round up some other important info about Black Armory and Season of the Forge in this video. So I hope you guys do enjoy it, but now let's get into it. So first up, we're going to talk about some new weapons in Black Armory. We now know that there will be a set of weapons associated with the Lost Forges and the vendor Ada 1, and it looks like there'll be a bunch of different quests to actually forge these weapons. There are different weapon frames and upgraded weapon frames, such as the Radiant frames, but we can now get a bit of a better look at some of these weapons. We can see the icons right here for all of the forge weapons, and these were found by Jinsa over on Reddit. So from left to right, we have the hand cannon, the Kindled Orchid. We don't know much about the stats or the perks on these just yet, but the machine gun is called the Hammerhead. We have the new bow, the Spiteful Fang. That looks pretty cool. There will be a sword as well, the Striker's Sure Hand. We've got the auto rifle, the Ringing Nail, a pulse rifle called Blast Furnace, and then finally the sniper rifle, the Tatara Gaze. And on top of this, we know that there will be some armor associated with the forges as well. So on top of the exotic quests and some collectibles we'll speak about in a moment, it looks like there'll be a pretty decent loot table for these new modes. We're going to touch on more DLC content in just a moment, but now I want to speak about some seasonal stuff. There have been a lot of questions about both Faction Rally and Trials of the Nine. So of course, Bungie actually took both of these events away. So since Forsaken we haven't had them, and they have been reworking them. However, we're not going to be getting either of these inside of Season of the Forge by the looks of things. So firstly, for Faction Rallies, Cosmo said Faction Rallies will not return during Season of the Forge. And equally for Trials, Cosmo said Trials is not part of the announcement. It will not make a comeback during Season of the Forge. The team is still working on a plan to restore this experience in a way that lives up to your expectations. I'll share more information with you as soon as we have it. So unfortunately, we're not going to be getting those events in Season of the Forge. And I think that's definitely a shame. However, if it does mean that these will be significantly improved when they do return, then obviously that is a positive thing. We know that there is a fair amount of content inside of Black Armory that will roll out over a number of weeks, and there is kind of a roadmap that Bungie gave us. So there definitely will be a solid flow of content throughout this season. But let me know your thoughts about this down below. There will definitely be mixed opinions, and I really hope that we get at least one of them in Season of the Drifter. We haven't actually seen any updates on Arms Week, in case anybody's wondering. It appears that this is some kind of ritual event that Bungie have been working on. There have been catalysts associated with Arms Week for quite some time in the database, and with Forsaken, Bungie started adding new Foundry vendors into the game. It looks like we could be getting another one right here. So of course we know of the Foundry vendor for Weist, Omelon, and all of the traditional Foundries, but now there is reference to Tex 9940 on the Bronco, and this is one of the exotic sparrows in Season 5. You can see that this is actually modeled loosely on a Huckleberry right there. So it's basically the Huckleberry Sparrow, but there is now a Tex Mechanica frame also listed in the lore for this. So it looks like Bungie are still potentially building up to doing something with Arms Week, but we haven't had any announcements yet. Now though, let's speak about what appear to be some new collectibles, and they seem to be linked to the forges in Black Armory. So a lot of people have been glitching into some of these forges, especially one on Nessus, and TNT Boo, as well as Schlitz and Giggles on Twitter, sent me a few images right here. So firstly, there are some interactable objects on these maps, including this one. You can see it says Crest not found. Now we're not entirely certain what these crests are, however we do know that the crests are icons associated with some of the foundries and families in the Black Armory, so those different icons that we see for the artwork and stuff like that. And there are a few of these different nodes which require a crest to be collected or opened. We're not entirely sure what these will do. Maybe they will drop something for you as a player. Maybe they're purely collectible. There may be triumphs and stuff like that associated with these as well. But also around many of these forge maps, there are a bunch of boxes which have different icons, and perhaps these are the actual crests it refers to. They're dotted all over different maps, and they do have a lot of different symbols on them as well, way more than what we see with the standard 3 crests of the Black Armory. So pretty mysterious stuff. Definitely feels like it's going to lead to something kind of secretive with some collectibles along the way. And also on the subject of symbols, CTB on Twitter sent me this image right here. There's an area on Nessus where you can see these symbols on the wall right here. No idea what is going on with this, but definitely looks like some kind of secret. So I think things are going to get pretty interesting going into Black Armory, as well as general collectibles. There could be some mysteries hidden inside of these lost forges. Next though, let's speak about some new mods. So there are some Fallen mods actually in the database, and these parallel the Taken mods that we've been able to get from the Last Wish raid. And so, spoiler alert, it does appear that these will be associated associated with the Scourge of the Past raid, which seems like even more confirmation of the enemy type that we'll see within the raid. But we've got Fallen Absorption, destroying a fallen shield refreshes your grenade ability, Fallen Armaments, killing a fallen enemy with a grenade causes heavy ammo to drop, Rejuvenation, killing a fallen elite refreshes your class ability, and Fallen Barrier, receiving fallen damage gives a 20% reduction in damage for 10 seconds. So basically doing the same thing as the Last Wish mods, but it'll certainly be nice to collect a different type of these, and these also could be useful in a few other different types of content, so that's always cool. But now let's talk very briefly about the Dawning right here. So Eva Levante is returning to Destiny 2. You can see the icon for the vendor right here in the database, and she's going to be taking care of things during the Dawning. So I spoke the other day about a bunch of ingredients, and they appear to be for baking something. I don't know how this is actually going to work, what the mechanics will be in the game, but we can see some other objectives right here. This is for a blueprint for the Dawning Sparrow. The secret blueprint from Amanda Holiday for the experimental Dawning Cheer Sparrow. And you can see you have to collect Elixir Birdseed and give it to Hawthorne, give vanilla blades to Shax, as well as chocolate chip cookies to Amanda. So it's going to be some super dark and serious stuff during the Dawn in this year, obviously. There's also going to be a Dawning heavy machine gun, which is pretty interesting. It looks like it could be farmable as well. It is listed as having random rolls in the database, although that doesn't necessarily confirm it at this point, but we are definitely getting a Dawning machine gun, as well as Dawning armor. We'll talk about that in just a second. There is a new Dawning engram as well, and of course there'll be a bunch of different rewards that we can get. But now, let's talk about some really cool new weapons and armor that are coming into the game. So big spoiler alert right here. We are going to talk about the Scourge of the Past loot. We're also going to take a quick look at the new Iron Banner gear, as well as Dawning armor sets. So we'll start out with the raid weapons. So now, of course, in Last Wish, we had a pretty full loot table of different archetypes of weapons, pretty similar to what we'd have in D1. For Scourge of the Past, we are going to see a slightly smaller pool of rewards. It is, however, better than what we had with the raid layers. So it looks like we're actually going to get 4 weapons, and these are just legendary weapons as far as we can tell. So left to right, first we have the shotgun. This is actually the shotgun that Bungie showed off inside of the vid arc. It's the threat level. Threat level Midnight, as well as a Office reference. I'm sure if you know The Office, you probably know that reference. Next though, we have a rocket launcher called the Bellowing Giant. Once again, these weapons were found by Jinsa. The rocket launcher is listed as a giant rocket launcher. I don't know if that's actually a new archetype or anything like that. Pretty interesting if it is. We do have a fusion rifle, the Tempered Dynamo, and we have seen this in some gameplay briefly as well. So Bungie have definitely showed off the raid weapons already in trailers. There is a scout rifle called No Feelings. Right now, I can't tell you what the archetypes are, what the bonuses will be or anything like that. They're not visible in the database, they're still classified, but it does give us a quick first look right there. There is an emblem called Recovered Memories associated with Scourge of the Past, but we do have the raid armor sets. Now, these are pretty similar to the Forge armor that we've seen in many of the cinematics, but for the Warlock, we have the Gunsmith's Devotion set. We've got a couple of screenshots right here that you can see. Pretty cool looking chest piece actually there for the Warlock, and that will be with the base raid shader presumably. You can see the helmet there as well, so it gives us a loose idea of what the raid gear will look like for the Warlock. The Hunter has the Bladesmith's Memory set. Pretty cool names actually, if you ask me. This is going to be the cloak, really cool looking cloak. We've got the gauntlets as well, which actually look pretty decent. This is the helmet, and then we have the chest piece. Not every armor piece is actually previewable right now, but finally the Titan gets the Bulletsmith's Ire set, and here we have the chest piece, the helmet, and then finally we've got the class item, which looks kind of cool as well. So that's a brief look at some of the raid armor. Like I said, it's pretty strange that Bungie have actually showed little bits from the raid stuff actually in the vid arc. But then of course there are the armor sets that we'll be able to get from the Forge itself. We did mention these briefly, but for the Titan, it is the Forged Machinist set. The Hunter gets the Woven Firesmith set, and then the Warlock gets the Annealed Shaper set. And what you're seeing on the end, that exotic right there, is a ship which will actually be dropped by completing Gofanon Forge Ignition, so there is some exclusive loot linked to one of the forges. But what you're seeing here as we scroll through is a bunch of the armor for the Iron Banner. So we've got Hunter stuff first. All of these sets are called Iron Fellowship. It just gives you a brief preview, but you can check these out in the game as well, I think. But then we have the new armor sets for the Dawning. So the Warlock set is the Frost Reach set. You've seen a couple of bits of that right here. The Titan will get the Frost Strike set, and the Hunter set is called Frost Veil. So I think some of those armor sets look pretty decent. We'll have to check them out in game. There's always a lot of feedback about armor and cosmetic stuff right now in the game. I think especially for armor, I would really love to see ornamentation like we used to get in Destiny 1 with the kind of holographic stuff. That was really cool. You're thinking back to like the Rise of Iron armor sets for Trials, and even the Age of Triumph stuff from the raids. That was some of the coolest looking stuff I think I've ever collected in any video game. I'd really love to see those kind of armor sets come back. Let me know your thoughts about that down below. But of course, this stuff isn't actually available yet, so I'll wait and look at it in game before I draw any conclusions, but you can let me know what you think down below. For today though, guys, that is going to summarize the video, so I hope you have enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts down below on the looks of any of those new legendary weapons. I think it's going to be cool to have a full set of stuff to collect, and it's definitely a big bigger pool than even, you know, what we saw with Escalation Protocol or something like that. It's going to be cool to find out what these Crest collectibles will be, and exactly what they'll reward or what they'll be used for. As always, drop your thoughts in the comment section, but if you have enjoyed the video, a like really helps me out on the channel. If you're new around here, be sure to hit subscribe to see a lot more D2 content. You can turn on notifications if you don't want to miss out on anything. Also, check out my sponsor, Into the AM, who have some really cool clothing in their store. A whole bunch of different graphic design shirts, hoodies, hats, bandanas, accessories, and all that good stuff, and you can save 10% using code Houndish, which I'll link below if you want to check out. But for now, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in, and whatever you do, I hope you have an awesome day.